Okay, so I've officially lost all patience in making videos. So I don't know if anybody has time to make stuff and edit videos and upload them. So I tip my hat to you guys. Talking to you, Kyle from Kaizen, and Aaron from Curls in the Rack. Um, I shot this whole video only to find out that when I got to my phone, that the memory card was full and it didn't record most of it. So, all right, here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna start again. Um, Bells of Steel trolley here, and I really like this system, and I think it's a bit of a bummer that we put these things on the rack, and we have to kind of choose what we put on the rack. Like you can either put a trolley on there for your lever arms, or you can put a glider, or you can put whatever. It's the issue is that once you take up the upright, you can't put more than one thing on it because you have the trolley rolling up and down. So if you put, let's say, a glider on there, it doesn't roll all the way up, and there's all these things and get in the way of one another and all this stuff. So I started thinking to myself, like, there has to be a way to have my cake and eat it too. And I haven't really seen anybody doing this yet. And I hope that starts to change because there's a lot of versatility in these parts. And it's just a bummer that companies are kind of just making it for one thing and not really thinking about the other stuff that you can do with it. And then you have another product and this product. And this stuff's not cheap. So it'd be really nice if you could just buy one thing and then you have the option to buy add-ons to make it into other things. So because that's not a thing, I decided that I'm gonna make it a thing. So I'm gonna base my design off the Bells of Steel trolleys, and this has been working out really good for me so far because um, the bolt pattern for the rollers coincidentally is perfect for the bolt pattern for the Bells of Steel weight pegs. The only thing is that the rollers originally come with these Allen bolts that go on each side, and I think they're M10s if I'm not mistaken. And so that's not going to hold this, and that's not cool. So I ditched that. I took the rollers off, and I also machined some UHMW rollers for this. I'd mentioned that in the last video. And what it is, I drilled through the sleeves and I mounted them with M16 bolts, which are super heavy duty. So now the weight pegs bolt straight onto the trolley, which I also drill out the trolley. Anyways, there's a bunch of modifications. I don't get into it, but basically I had to kind of drill out the holes on the trolley and the sleeves. Anyway, so these are now mounted on, and the thing is that these are not designed for this purpose. So what happens is that these have UHMW protection on the inside of the trolley. And it's great for its original design purpose, which is to just roll the arm up and down. But what happens is that as soon as you load weight on one side of it and you try to pull up from the other side, the further away it goes, the more leverage there is on the trolley and it jams it. So if you pull it up from over here, that's fine. That rolls up and down, so-so. There's a little bit of rubbish. It's not the end of the world. But what happens is that as the further out you go, the more leverage you have and the more it jams, and that's not going to work. Especially that if you load weight on it, because if you have weight on the outside and you're pulling from this, it's even more leverage. So the easy way out of it would be to put the weight on the inside and kind of have the weight loaded here, and then you're pulling up, and it kind of, would balance out. But what I don't love about that is that if you mount, 45 pounds on the inside, I don't like things close to my elbows and my face and stuff when I'm trying to work out, and I need a little bit more room. So what we're going to do is we're going to beef this thing up, and we're going to stabilize it with some additional rollers. And so I have some PVC fittings here to kind of visualize things and make sure there's clearance issues and all that stuff. But basically, I'm going to put 4 rollers on here, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, and I'm going to ditch the UHMW protection on the inside because we're not going to need that once all this is bolted in place. This is going to have rollers on 4 sides, and there'll be none of this tilting business because everything will be rock solid in place, and it'll be, no matter which way you pull the weight, you won't have this like slop in the trolley. So we're going to stabilize that. We're going to have them on rollers. We're going to ditch the UHMW on the inside here. And then, if everything works out how I think it's going to work out, I should be able to load as much weight as I want or can possibly ever need on one side of this and still be able to pull from this side, and it shouldn't have this business of like it tilting side to side. I'm going to make some heavy duty brackets over here. I'm going to use some 1/4 inch steel, and my bearings are not coming in for I think 2 weeks. So what I'm going to do is I'll make the brackets first, and then I'll get some Delrin or UHMW, whatever is available right away, and I'll just drill them through so that they kind of just bolt in place for now. And it won't be as smooth, but at the very least, it'll get rid of this slop. And then when the bearings come in, I'll machine the inside of the UHMW or Delrin rollers. I'll mount the bearings in, and then it should really be super smooth. And what I would like to do is I'd like to make this a system where first this will work just fine as is, where I can kind of like roll it up and down with as much weight as I want on it. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to make this into a smith. So I'm gonna make this a rotating handle that hooks onto either, see how I'm feeling. If I want a lazy way out, I'll just kind of put a pin over here and just kind of have it hook onto the pin. But what I'm thinking about doing is actually making the locking system where it kind of bends this way and fits into the holes in the upright here. And that way, if you're failing mid-rep, you can kind of just lock it into the upright and it'll just stay there instead of coming all the way down and then having to reload it once you're done your set. The other thing is that I don't love that if I bolt this on, these are going to be inside the rack all the time, and I think that's going to be a little bit cumbersome and annoying for me because I use the lever arms locked straight down as uprights, and I don't want these in my face when I'm doing squats and stuff. I can kind of get away with it if I just move it all the way to the top, but I don't know if I'm going to keep this as is. What I'm thinking about doing is I'm thinking about making these modular so that they kind of, like a keyhole where they just kind of go in and they click down or they click up, where you kind of use them for your exercise, and then once you're done, you can just kind of unclick them and take them off. So there's some stuff I got to kind of work out. But step one, I'm going to stabilize this whole thing. And then I have another design that I'm kind of working on where I want to build a bracket for this where I can put my own bar into this thing, and I don't have to bolt anything onto the bar. I don't have to do all this crazy stuff, because there's systems out there where like there's like brackets you kind of like have to attach to your bar and all this setup stuff. I kind of want to make this a lot easier for me to kind of mount it and the first step in that is that instead of bolting the arm onto these, I'm going to probably have these set up with pins instead of bolts, because there's really no need to have it bolted in place if you have a pin in there. It's just pivoting, so it should be fine. And that way I can just kind of pull it off, take the arm off, and put the other adapter in if I want to use it for Smith and all this other stuff. Yeah, so I think it about covers it for now. I'll get started on this stuff. Hopefully by next week I'll have something going where this is rolling in place properly. The week after I'll have the bearings in, and then I'll start working on like the brackets and the handles and all this other stuff. I have a lot of stuff going on. I got a lot of other projects all these like handles and all this crazy stuff going on. I just don't have any time, so I gotta kind of pick and choose what to go with. And yeah, so yeah, we're gonna stop with this whole editing videos thing. I'm just gonna kind of shoot stuff and I'll upload it, and you guys can kind of let me know what you think, and we'll take it from there. And maybe what I'll do is I'll just put shorts on Instagram of like the functionality, and then link it to YouTube or whatever, and you guys can leave your comments, or you leave it on Instagram, whatever. Anyway, yeah, let me know what you guys think.